this week's Touch Basins Hole, we have Hope Lim, a South Korean children's book author who now lives in San Francisco with her family. She made her debut in 2021 with I Am a Bird, and her upcoming book, Mummy's Hometown, will be released on April 12th. To tell us more about her life as a writer and her works, Hope Lim connects with us via video from San Francisco. Miss Lim, hello, and welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now, I think we have to start with your background, specifically your career before becoming a children's book writer. You received a master's degree in conference interpretation, and then you became an interpreter for the US State Department. You were interpreting for diplomats and world leaders, I understand. That sounds like an interesting career that you had.
Yeah, it was. And working for the State Department was exactly what I wanted when I went to graduate school. So I was really happy to get a job. And I met so many amazing people along the way. And also, I traveled to many different parts of the country. And I think most of all, I liked the idea of being in the world of diplomats and politics. But when I became a mother, I couldn't travel much.
Hmm.
So I decided that I'll dedicate my time taking care of my kids. And to my surprise, the motherhood opened up a new path for me as a writer. So I guess it worked out okay.
Right, so it didn't feel strange or difficult to leave that life behind you?
It was a little bit, it felt a little, I don't think I was ready mentally when that happened, but I had no choice. And I didn't want to travel all the way across the country, go to DC or New York for a conference. So I decided that maybe the universe is giving me another chance to start new career and start a new life. And
Hmm.
um, yeah, actually, it worked out okay.
Indeed. How did you then decide that you were going to start writing children's books?
Um, well, I don't think I would have become children's book author if I had not had my own kids.
Hmm.
Thanks to my kids, I read lots of picture books and I really got into them. I was amazed by the wide range of picture books with the different styles and different topics. And some illustrations are so beautiful, like art. And I was really surprised by the beauty of the art. And I also discovered that picture book can be a very powerful as a storytelling medium. And some books make me laugh, and some books make me cry. And there are other books that make me, look at things in a way I never imagined.
Hmm.
And I was really drawn to the power of a picture books where a single word or a single image can really deliver deep emotions. And at the same time, I was writing a lot about my kids in my journal
Hmm.
on a daily basis. I was very fascinated by the way they look at the world, the way they express themselves, and the way they use their imagination to play. And I wanted to remember everything. So I put all of them into my journal. And in hindsight, they became the foundation for my writing.
So you were always interested in writing then. I understand before the Masters in Conference Interpretation, you majored in English literature in college.
Yes, right. I thought that I always had love of the language, and I always loved reading literature in English. It was as if it opened up a new world, and I really enjoyed that feeling. But I didn't think that that would lead me to become a published author,
Hmm.
even though I had a love of language. I think what happened was I really discovered the power of picture books and got really into. It's like I was stepping into this world of picture books thanks to my kids. And naturally, I was interested in creating my own stories inspired by my kids. And that's how I got into this children's literature world.
Sure. So you developed this ambition and passion to create these children's picture books. But how difficult it was it at first to try and launch that career as a writer? Were you essentially starting from scratch, or did you have any help?
Mhm. No, I didn't have any help. I think I just had this, burning desire to share my own stories.
Hmm.
As I said earlier, I was just inspired by my kids and their unique perspective on the world. And I remember writing all the time, inspired by what they said or how they look at the world. And I think I was writing for about 2 years alone. And then there was a point where I didn't know how to improve my story. So I did some research and then find out that there's some workshop that I could take and there are online writers community. So I joined them and I got to learn about the craft of picture book writing.
Mm.
And also I learned about publishing industry in America, and quickly I realized that I need an agent to represent me. So, yeah, so that's how it's like if I had known everything I know, I don't think I would have gone this path because it was not easy at all in the very
Mm.
beginning. But I think I just had a stories to tell. So that's how it happened.
Sure. Eventually, that led to your first book, I Am a Bird, in 2021. What was it like when that first book got published? How did you feel?
I was really happy. Holding that physical copy of my own book, my debut book, was quite incredible. And at the same time, I was very grateful to those who made it possible, like my agent and my editor and illustrator Haewan Yum, who brought my story to life with her colorful illustrations. Yeah, I was really happy.
And things like since then, things have taken off. You've, I understand, written four books now. Is it altogether?
My third book is coming out
Okay.
soon,
Yes, your
and I
third book.
have two.
Okay. Okay, so your third book is Mummy's Hometown. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, Mommy's Hometown is a story about like meaning of home and the family love and family connection. And ever since moved to America, I went back to Korea to see my parents, and I always noticed changes from my previous visit. So I took mental notes of all the changes. And one summer, I went back to Korea with my kids and my husband, and I took them to an old river where I used to play as a child. And watching them play and catch fish, um, I was taken by this sense of nostalgia because everything around the river was so different from the time and scenes from my childhood. And that moment, I wanted to write something that captures the passage of time and the changes that took place. So that's how that story came about. And I worked on the story for about a year and a half.
Hmm.
Yeah. And then so happy about that book.
Sure. It sounds very personal to you as well. And it seems like all your stories are really taken from real life experiences.
Yeah, that's right. I usually find inspiration and ideas in real life. And I guess it depends on what inspires my story. Sometimes I find my like ideas from many different places in my life or people I know, but sometimes I created stories out of nothing. So it's different with every project, but I found inspiration everywhere. It used to be my kids and what they said and what they did. But I think as a writer, I grew and evolved. So I found inspiration when I'm out running or walking. If I see something unusual or striking images, then I have this idea for stories. For example, a few months ago, I was out walking and I saw this tree that bloomed earlier than before. And I thought that was really interesting and made me think of climate change. So I had a draft about climate change that day. So
Hmm.
that's just one example.
Sure.
Yeah.
It seems to me that also the beautiful illustrations in your books, as you mentioned earlier, is an important aspect for your books. You've worked with a variety of illustrators, I think different for each book. Were they people you knew? How did you end up working with them, or did someone connect you? How did that work?
Oh, I think it was a wonderful coincidence. And the fact that I came from Korea was taken into consideration by my editors. For my tree, it has Korean elements and cultural references. So my editor wanted Korean illustrator.
Hmm.
So Il Sung Na was on board. For Mommy's Hometown and I'm a Bird, my editor was looking for specific illustration style, and Heon Yum and Jamie Kim, uh, they were the one who have everything that my editor was looking for. So, but I'm glad that I got connected with those Korean illustrators. They're very talented with different styles and individualistic vision for each story.
Hmm.
So I'm really happy about that. And I didn't know them
Sure.
personally, but I knew them because they're ahead of me in this publishing journey. So I followed them on Twitter, and I knew them, and I admire them. So I'm really excited that I got connected with them through my stories.
Sure. That sounds amazing. How have people responded to your books, especially your children?
Oh, my children, they're really proud of me. They're really happy. They saw me struggle and getting frustrated with my writing. So they said, "Mom, I'm really proud of you," and that was really good. And for from other readers, the response has been really positive, and I received lots of love from many different places and from different people. I remember one particular review came from a student who was a first grader. I had a virtual school visit with a school in Kansas. And after I read My Tree, there are a lot of questions thrown at me.
Hmm.
And one student asked me a question, and he said, "Why did you write so well?" And I thought that was really cute, sweet. So I just smiled and said, "Thank you so much. I just did my best." Yeah.
That is very sweet indeed. We're almost out of time. What do you have planned next? What kind of stories do you want to keep writing?
I want to write a story that can make readers feel connected to my story emotionally. I think that emotional connection is really important, and I felt the emotional connection with a lot of picture books I read. So I'm working on trying to bring in the emotion to the story.
Well, your latest book, Mummy's Hometown, released on April 12th, and we've been talking to the author, Hope Lim, for Touch Base in Seoul. Thank you once again for your time today.
Thank you for having me.